This is episode 252 of the Gold Squadron podcast. I'm your host, Dion Morales, and today I'm joined by Marcel. The rabbit wins the race, Manzano.
Beep, beep. Wait, no, that's the other one.
That's a Roadrunner. Is that what?
But I guess the Roadrunner would win the race even better.
Will, if his ship is as fast as his boasting, we ought to do well. Hegwood.
Oh, and we got a lot of boasting around here.
And Ryan, 3 months already, Staniszewski.
That's right. Ollie's already a quarter of a year old, and 5 extra days. It's the second of every month. So we had him in a St. Patrick's Day little onesie. We took our 3-month picture as per later this month for St. Patrick's Day. My wife loves being both holiday and enjoys taking pictures of Ollie.
I mean, that's a given.
Yep.
All righty, everybody. Well, as for announcements and news, this Wednesday, I know that we haven't focused on it, but the Jank Tank Open 2 has still been going on. All right, it's been in the background, and we have the final coming up this Wednesday. Will, it's going to be live. It's going to be on Wednesday Night Flight Club. Give us the deets, win, and all the stuff.
Well, actually, I might as well give that honor to Marcel. But when are you playing, Marcel?
Yeah, so it's
This isn't a way for us to double check to make sure you know the schedule for sure. This is just
like I'm playing Tuesday. You know, actually, so here's my theory, and Dion planned it all along. Okay, so Dion gave me a good list.
I know where he's
Dion
going
gave me
with.
a good list. He gave me Cornhorn and Janors, and then he's like, "All right, if anybody else makes it, you know, Marcel's got a good list." So that I can make the final, and he can schedule it on league night at 9 p.m. on Wednesday. So I have to be at home in my computer instead of in the store kicking his pickle-loving booty. Like he's been running from me. He's been running from me.
Listen, it's all happenstance. I haven't been taking 4 weeks dodging you in order to get some reps so I actually have a chance when we play. Totally haven't been doing that. But anyway, Jank Tank 2 happening Wednesday,
9 p.m.
right?
Yeah, Wednesday night, 9 p.m. It's me and Paul Olsen from Minnesota.
Paul Olsen versus Marcel Manzano. Those are two titans. Playing some Jank Tank. And it is, just remember, we're still playing with all the old rules, all the old rules. So just be mindful when you guys tune in on Wednesday. Again, twitch.tv/Gold Squadron podcast. If you're tuning in, it's gonna be 2.0 or 2.2, 2.25 rules, not scenario play. So go ahead, make sure you tune in there. Also, as you know, in the next couple weeks, we have Adepticon. We have the X-Wing World Open hosted by Gold Squadron. Oh, man, I'm super excited. It's still technically not too late to sign up, guys. If you want to sign up, go to our Discord. I put a link there to a document that basically tells you everything you got to do. Last time I checked, we had 180 tickets sold. There's about 5 people who hit me up and being like, Dion, I didn't get to sign up. What? So that's about 185-ish people who are going to be there out of 224 spots. So don't snooze, otherwise you will lose. But we can get you in. Make sure that that you get your tickets if you're planning on attending. And just a reminder that for X-Wing players at the event, we will be wearing a mask just during gameplay because of the just keeping the expectations that were set forth when 150 people bought their first tickets, which wanted to keep that consistent for X-Wing. So that is the plan there. Let's go ahead and jump into our main topic for today. So today what I want to do is I want to just break down all 4 scenarios. The plan is to take this episode of our podcast and the video from it and chop it into 4 separate videos that we can upload on our YouTube channel so that everybody can go ahead and just, if you want to review a scenario, you'll be here with us. And we're going to go through the rules for each one first. And then after we break down the rules for one, we can talk about strategy, different things that we've experienced with them, and give more opinion-based stuff. We're going to start with the facts, then opinion for each of them. There are 4 total scenarios, and we're gonna go ahead and jump into it. Gentlemen, any questions before we do this?
Can I get promoted?
Maybe. Yes.
I don't know how everybody else got colors without promotions.
You don't need a promotion
just click your name
for
and take color.
You know, I got
true.
about 2,000 hours of Tabletop Simulator.
Can I get promoted too?
Sure. We'll just promote everybody. You can pick a color
promoted.
without
Giving
being promoted.
promotion to the person who already moved one of your range rulers. Good call.
This is true. This is true.
You have-
Chaos ensues. All right, fam. Well, here we go. We're going to be starting out. Well, let me go ahead and start with the intro for the video / podcast section. Here we go. So today what we're going to be doing is breaking down our 4 scenarios. Our first scenario we're going to be talking about is assault on the satellite array. Now, before we actually do that, I want to start by going over what are the things that apply to all of the scenarios, because all of them have a couple of things that are all the same. Number 1, for every single one of them, you're going to have to find the center of the board for all of them. Right now, we have some pre-saved versions of each of the setups right here, and in the documentation, you'll actually see them refer to range 4.5 rulers. So what you do, you take your range 3 ruler, and if you have a 1.5, you can go ahead and put it on the edge. If you don't, not a big deal. Take your range 2, put it halfway down a range, and you got 4.5. But essentially what you're doing is just trying to find as close to the middle of the board as possible. You got to do that for all the scenarios for the first objective token. Second, scoring for each of them goes up to 20. First person to 20 at the end of a turn wins. Whoever has the most number of points at the end of that turn wins. So for instance, if you score 20 first and your opponent, blows away all your ships and they get 27, they are the winner of the game. So some people have been confused with like, oh, it's a race to 20. Kind of. Just when 20 happens, it's the end of the game. Whoever has the most number of points at the end is going to end up winning. And then if you're playing these at events, particularly we're going to talk about Adepticon, each scenario will be used at least once before any of them are repeated. And of course, you're using the same list in each of the scenarios when you're playing them at an event. All right, let's jump into it. Assault on the satellite array. Will, how does
wait, just on the rules section, just to be crystal clear.
Yes.
When somebody hits 20 and you play till the end of the round, it's you play till the end of the end round. So make sure that you still count all your objective points. It's not just what you killed.
Yeah.
So make sure that you're still capturing your objectives. You're still keeping track and counting the objectives, because that might shift stuff around if you're only counting like what was killed by the time that the time runs out or you roll your last dice.
Yep, exactly. Completely finish that turn and then score it up. Whoever has the most points wins. So we're going to jump into assault on the satellite array. Will, I'm going to start with you. Can you tell me about setup for this one?
Okay, well, first off, this one includes 5 satellites. This mission will have one of the centers you mentioned, and then I'm going to place one by my board edge. You're going to place one by your board edge. I'm going to place one by your board edge. And then finally, you'll place one by mine, which will make all 5 as we rotate in there. Now, as far as specifics here, you can take a look at what Dion's already got set up. He is showing range 3 of the center satellite. That's where all of your obstacles are going to need to be placed at range 3 and beyond range 2 of each other satellite. So it will be specifically this portion of the range ruler there. It makes almost a full circle. Then, as I said, I'm going to place one onto my side, but the one on my side does need to be placed within range 2 to 4 of the board edge. So I'll get a visual representation of that. So it would have to be placed somewhere within here. Actually, I'll show it an easier way. Little known fact, if it's range 1.1, that's range 2. So it's really just where this range ruler is. That range 2 to 3. Or sorry, 2 to 4 is what I was showing there. And then, like I said, you just go back and forth, placing the obstacles first on your own side and then your opponent's until all 5 are placed. Hmm? Snipe it with Alt, Dion, and you can show it to the screen. Or wait, maybe not on your computer. Never mind. Are you muted, Dion? Am I talking to nothing?
Sure, she was talking to nobody.
So you were saying about the legal places for obstacles.
Yes. So can you? Let's go ahead and show a setup round of this. Marcel, you want to partner up with Will, kind of go back and forth here. So Will, if you were the first player, we got the first one placed.
Yep. This is me. I'm red. I'm first player.
Yep. Can you go ahead and go through a setup here?
So that's going to be the first obstacle must be within on my own board edge. Get out of here. I'm already first player. Yeet. All right. So I'm going to place mine. I'll just place it right here. Looks good. So I am beyond range 2 of the center obstacle, and I am not at range 1 of my own board edge. So this particular placement would be legal. How about you, Marcel? Where were you going to be placing yours?
Okay, wait. So I think I've been doing it wrong the whole time. It's between range 2 and 4, so you can't be inside this.
Nope. That's range 1. Range 1.1 is measured at range 2.
Hold on, what it says?
It says right here.
You got that wrong. Where?
Let's read it together.
Yes.
The first satellite by each player must be placed within range 2 to 4 of their board edge. Range 1.1 is range 2.
Ah, okay, I got it.
Very tricky, I know.
But it can also be at range 4, so just to make sure I'm correctly.
I could put it all the way to here.
Yeah.
Oh.
So you can put it all the way up to here.
Or.
And then within range 4, however, does that mean it has to be inside of range 4?
Within range 4, correct. So what you're looking at is this line right there.
Because over here, you're still at range 4, technically, because you're still...
Right. But in that wording, it's within.
Okay. So I have been doing that wrong the whole time, because
a lot of people have.
I've been putting it here. I've been saying it's between ranges 2 and 4. So I've been giving myself and my opponents this
less choices
range here.
Less choices. There you go. So with that new information, I'm still going to put mine right here. With this new information, where would you put your obstacle then?
Okay. So
another way that they could have worded that is outside of range 1.
And inside of range 4.
Yes.
Right?
Both of those would be true statements.
Okay. So you put it in the center there?
Yes. So now you'll place one within range 2, or beyond range 2, at range 3 of the center obstacle, and beyond range 1 of your own board edge.
I will put it here. Right there.
So yep, that's at range 3, at the end of the ruler there, and within range 2 from your own board edge. Easy. So now I will be placing one of mine on your own board edge. And as you mentioned earlier, now this has to be within range 4. So I'm gonna just take a look at range 4 here. It's about there on our little range ruler.
And for anybody who's just a quick clarification, we got 1, 2, 3, and then there's another range 3 ruler here. He's marking off that 4th one right there.
Yes. I don't have a range 4 ruler, but exactly. I'm counting from this way. 1, 2, 3, 4. So within range 4 and beyond range 2 of the center obstacle and any other obstacle. All right, locking it in, Marcel. Where are you putting your last one?
Okay. Just let me do one thing real quick. And let's do here, here, and there we go.
Yeah, so
I'm going to cheat. I'm going to put that ship in the center. Assign it a dial.
Okay, I'm interested where this is going.
Place that, and then you can do range 2. So now you know you can't be inside that bubble. Well, you moved it.
So isn't there a spawn range 2 bubble here?
Well,
No, it doesn't give you a bubble. It just gives you like.
Let's also keep in mind that people do have to do this on a physical board.
Yeah, we are referencing a physical board here.
Right.
So.
Okay,
This is
so let me grab my physical ruler.
That's a good tip. I know in some of the latest mods will even show you lines. It'll make a line where you, just like how obstacles are, where you can and cannot place an obstacle.
So here you go. I'm gonna go here.
Perfect. Beyond range 2 and within range 4 of my board edge. I'm gonna go put it at range 3.
Right there.
There you go. That counts. We ended up doing quite a spread out obstacles, really maximizing the range bands we could utilize.
So what I want to do here is just for everybody, now that we can go ahead and get rid of these rulers, is just again because there's so much confusion on the placement, because it likely due to quick reading, right? So you place this one first, Will.
I did.
The rule is that it has to be within range 2 to 4 of your board edge, right?
Correct.
And outside of range 2 of the center objective. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Up to range 3, though. You can't go to the very edge of the board.
All right. So we have just kind of for a quick reference, right there. That's the initial obstacle placement.
In real life, that's the only ones I use is the range 2 and the range 1.
Okay. And then
or 2 range 2s if you're fortunate enough to have them to make that range 4.
Then we have here for Marcel, second obstacle. He chose here just barely within range 3 from the center objective. And then I need to grab the range 1. And then within range 1 to 2 of within range 2 to 4 of essentially outside of range 1 of his own side.
Mm-hmm.
Third third one was here, which now you, Will, the first player, went ahead and said, now I have to be outside of range 4 from the board edge here.
Within range 4.
Right. Within range 4 here. And then...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they use the range 3. Beyond range 2, at range 3.
Mm-hmm.
Then Marcel played this one, placed this one.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and yeah, that was same rules as your second one. It was within 2 to 4 of your board edge, and he went at the very edge of range 3, right there, because it can be within 2 to 3. All right.
You keep saying within, Diom. I want to stress this. At range
yeah.
3.
At and then within. Yes. Excuse
At.
At range 2 to 3. There it is. Sorry about that. Again, this is the explanation. The explanations of these. Those words, they definitely matter. So here we go. So here is a single possibility of assault on the satellite array, and you know, this is super new to everybody. And I know one of the things I've seen a couple of them out there, and a couple of different diagrams, and I would like to make a diagram essentially of all the possibilities on where you can place them. I think that is a good, would be a nice visual representation for everybody. And then once all of the objectives are placed, and I'm sorry, we did say obstacles a couple times. Once all the objectives are placed, then we go on to the obstacles. Now, how do the obstacles interact with the objectives?
Very little, actually. The only requirement is that obstacles cannot be placed overlapping a objective. So they can be touching, they can be very, very close, but they cannot be overlapping.
So normal rules that we're used to, right?
Yes.
We have that range 2 box all around the entire board.
So you can put it very close to the objective. They just cannot physically overlap.
Okay, there you go. And you would, of course, place all 6 after that. Now, one of the let's now that we've talked about the actual setup, let's go ahead and toss a few more obstacles out there just for funsies. Everybody grab an obstacle. Just go crazy. We have 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. We need one more. Who's quickest on the draw? There we go. Boom. Lock them down, boys. All right, so we have our 6 obstacles out there. Next, let's talk about actually like playing the scenario. Obviously, we would set up ships after the obstacles are set up, ready to go. In Assault on the Satellite Array, we are able to score points by destroying ships. There are no half-point scoring in this one. Now, how do I get points from the actual objectives, Will?
Okay, so scoring. At the end phase, each player earns 1 mission point for each satellite under their control. A player controls the satellite if they have more ships at range 0 to 1 of the satellite than any other player. When determining control of the satellite, medium and large bases each count as 2 ships. Also, you can destroy or remove a ship from the game, and the opposing player would earn the mission points equal to the squad value of that ship. So not only do you need a ship within range 1, not within. at least one ship at range 1. But in addition, you need more ships than your opponent.
Right. That's the second piece. So let's go ahead and let's grab us a Luke Skywalker for an example here. So end of the turn here, this Luke Skywalker is within, or so no, sorry, at. Jeez Louise. Okay.
I know. That's a very big difference.
Okay. Here we go. We'll show the extreme to show that it is at range 1 of an objective. As long as it's not contested by somebody, this Luke Skywalker would end up earning themselves a single mission point. We got another Luke Skywalker. Now, how does this end up working with large base ships? Because there's a couple of different rules with that.
So as I had said, they actually count as 2 ships for control of the satellite. So utilizing your example here, Rey was an opposing player, and now Rey is also at range 1 of the center objective, but because Rey is worth essentially the 2 ships, that would then be awarded to the resistance player, that objective.
Okay.
Now, here's the question. Luke Skywalker right here is at range 1 of both of these. He's at range 1 of 2 different objectives. And Rey is similarly, magically, I'm going to move this closer, at range 1 of 2 objectives.
I think I see where you're getting at here.
So
each objective looks for ships independently. Your ship does not look for an objective. The objective looks for ships.
So then, in this particular case, Rey would win 2 because it's at range 1 of these 2, and Luke loses this one, but gains that one.
Exactly.
So Luke gets 1 point, Rey gets 2. If Rey's a little bit over here, then Rey gets 1 and Luke gets 2.
You have it correct.
Okay.
So there we go. That would be the scoring in that sense right there. If you guys can see those victory counters for each one. Rey scores 2 there, and Luke Skywalker 1. And I like how you said that, Will. Each of the objectives in Assault on the Satellite Array looks for ships independently and is thusly scored from there. And then just like play continues like normal, game ends when basically one of the following conditions happens. At the end of the end phase, somebody is at 20 points or more. Whoever has the most number of ships, the most number of mission points, that's points destroyed and those earned from the satellites, is the winner. When 12 rounds are over, because you're counting that in an event using a timer, when the timer is up, or when all ships are destroyed on one side, then you go ahead and score everything up. So that is the bones of Assault on the Satellite Array. Now I want to take a couple minutes here and talk about some strategy. Now, Marcel, I want to throw this over to you. You talked about large, medium base ships. They are able to count as 2 ships, but also because they are bigger, they can control way more space. Do you think? I mean, this might seem like an obvious question, but large base ships have an advantage in this scenario?
This particular scenario is probably where they shine. They get multiple benefits, but as we go through the other ones, it's the short answer is yes. This one scenario, they get an advantage. However, large base ships, I think the cheapest large base ship is a Jumpmaster, coming in at 5. and most other large bases.
Ooh, 4 points actually for Manaru.
For Manaru only, but just in general, like
budget,
you could spam or something. Yeah.
Oh, sure, yeah.
The Jump Masters are at 5. Manaru is at 4. All other large base ships range anywhere from 6 to 10. I don't think there's any above 10, but they range from 6 to 10. If you are looking that they count as 2 ships, what else counts as 2 ships? 2 3-point ships. So I would probably still take 2 3-point ships over 1 6-point ship if you're going after objectives, because with objectives, in order to take that benefit, you have to position the large base ship very limited space, where 2 independent ships at 3 points apiece just get more range. And you can potentially end up with 4 if you park it the way that Luke Skywalker is on this one. It's just so they get a buff above other scenarios, but they are, in my opinion, not
still a liability.
Yeah, but the medium bases, on the other hand, you can still find some really good medium bases. Medium bases also count as 2, also have wider range to how far they reach. And you can still find some really good medium bases at a more reasonable cost, to where, like, I'll pay that 1 extra point to get a whole bunch of other stuff with it.
All right. Now, Ryan, is there any other thoughts you have about Assault on the Satellite Array? Anything at all? Maybe something we missed, or something you want to bring up for strategy for any players?
So, speaking on sort of a tactical level, when you're thinking about what types of ships, beyond just the size, can also have advantages in this. This is things that end up in this zone gain points, which sounds obvious. Yes, that's what you want to do. But if you have ships that move last, they can have a better chance to reposition or opt into that space if they're safe, right? They have later board knowledge if everything else has moved before them on the opponent's side of the board, and they do a maneuver that maybe doesn't get them in the zone yet, but they can choose with their action via reposition, such as a boost or a barrel roll, to say, I'm going to get into this because it's safer, or leave if it's not safe. They can make the choice to go or not to go. But on the flip side, if you have some of the earlier moving ships, especially if they're medium or larger base, or even if they're small base and there's a lot of obstacles around it, you have the capability on the lower initiatives to take up space to make sure things can't make it in there. If there's a small zone where those other later initiative ships want to be able to move into there to contest that zone, you can put 1, 2, 3, whatever bodies you have available in that area to say, I'm building my little mosh area, but you're not allowed in. My mosh pit.
I like it. You're setting up it kind of reminds me of football. You're kind of setting up blocks, right, in order to make sure that people don't get where they gotta go. I like that. I like that. I had that happen in a game this last week where I was flying a 5-ship list, and I just made sure to smash as many ships into an area as possible just to make sure that I had that one, and it was what allowed me to lock that game was blocking, essentially. And I know one of the questions that came up with all these new rules is blocking gonna matter? I think when it comes to these objectives, blocking has a different type of value. Even though people can still do their red focus action, being able to control whether or not your opponent is able to be within range for an objective is massive. All right. So that has been the Assault on the Satellite Array. Let's go ahead and load up our next scenario. Number 2 on the list is Chance Engagement. Chance Engagement is the closest to our traditional dogfight with a little bit of a twist. Marcel, go ahead. Tell me about setup for this one and how it plays, please.
Sure. Setup. you grab this objective token and you place it right at the center. And then you place your obstacles, and then you fight. The end.
And how does scoring work in this one?
I never played it, but let me look at it right here. So I think it's at range 2 instead of 1. I believe it's the same. Like you have to. Let me see. Place objectives, victory, scenario rules. A scenario features scoring. At the start of the end phase, a player earns 1 mission point if they control the satellite. A player controls the satellite if they are the only player that has a ship at range 0 to 2 of the satellite. When a ship is reduced to half points, okay, we'll go to the half points. So I've never played this one, so I'm learning it now. So basically, you have to be the only ship in the center to get it. So even if you have like 3 versus 1, you don't get a point. So you have to be the only one in the center.
Yep.
At range 0 to 2, which is very difficult.
Very difficult indeed.
So I mean, they're essentially incentivizing you to make sure that you actually play, right? Rather than what a lot of people have talked about, fortressing, right? Staying in a corner and waiting for it to be inconvenient for your opponent to approach you. Yeah, so I mean, it's pretty basic here, and I think the other scoring part is the fact that you get points when you destroy your opponent's ships. But this is currently, as of March 2022, the only objective where you earn half points when you hit that half-point threshold for the enemy ship.
Mm-hmm. And you round down instead of up now. So if it's a 3-point ship, you get 1 point on half. And then the other 2 when they're fully dead.
All right, that's pretty massive. So rounding down, you said. I want to echo that, rounding down instead of up, and it's just got to be chasing those points. And the additional thing with half-point scoring is that Regen no longer allows you to take those points away from your enemy. So once you have hit that threshold, you're no longer you don't get to you've lost the points. Your opponent has scored them. That is it. Ryan, have you had that? Oh, go ahead.
Does Regen gain more value on an odd numbered ship than an even numbered ship because of the way that again, if you're doing it on the 5-point ship, they'll get 2 for half. The other 3 at the tail side. So you're protecting, essentially, you're protecting 60% of your list versus 50%. So, or does it not matter?
No, I think you're right. I guess any ship that is odd numbered is going to help you in this specific version. Scenario specifically, but having Regen does let you, even if you are halved, you don't get those points back, but it is giving you a better chance to hold on to the last full cost giving to your ship. I mean, not only is it the points given, but also just keeping your ship on the board. So there's still value in that. It just happens to be on an odd number ship. You're giving it upgrades to stay alive longer through Regen in whatever manner you choose.
Okay, so just to correct some confusion in the chat, so you got to make sure you read both parts of that half section. When you hit the half-point threshold, it's rounded down, and when you fully destroy a ship, it's rounded up. And that gives you all of the points. So in our example of a 3-point ship, once you've taken half points, you get 1, which is half rounded down. And then once you've destroyed it, you get the rest of the points, which would be half, 1.5, rounded up, which becomes 2. That gets you the rest of the points. Am I correct in that?
That is correct. Yeah, the point is to make sure people don't confuse the fact that you're taking a full ship's cost and you get the first half and you round it down. And then someone can misinterpret the wording and say, "Oh, you round down again, and now you only get 2 out of my 3." No. It's clarifying through rules that like it sounds obvious that you would say, yeah, you just get the whole point instead of just having to say, oh, you have to take the next half and round up. But they wanted to keep it as foolproof seemingly as possible by saying, hey, you also get the half points, the rest of the half points rounded back up just to make sure we're at 100% here.
Correct. All right. So now let's talk a little bit about strategy. We've played this. We've played dogfight always. This is the probably the closest to what we know or the most familiar with. How is your engagement in this different than what you've done before? I guess my question is, for you all specifically, and Ryan, we'll start for you. Does your play or how you used to play change because there's this single objective in the center of the board?
Still changes a bit. I don't yet know. So I haven't played too much chance engagement, but I think I would specifically select the type of ships that I know could weave in and out of that range 2 for me. Right. So if I felt the need to find better positioning to engage where I want to, depending on obstacle placement, that I would have the time to do so while not giving up points. But also on the flip side, I'm not yet sure if it's worth considering. If I just give up 1 point, am I going to get much better positioning than my opponent maybe? There might be instances of it. Say I don't commit my just one of the turns. Doesn't even have to be the first turn. Could be the second turn. Could be the third turn. You just send one in and you could just dip out and say, nope, we're going to come back later. I might give up a point, but it might be worth the positional advantage.
Yeah, this is one of the this is one of the only engagement where completely ignoring the objective for a turn won't result in a snowball effect, where if you just in the other ones, which we'll talk, we're continuing to talk about, if you're like, I'll give up all 5 for the turn, you've probably lost the game. if you ever do that, don't do that. Okay, but in this one, I like that, Ryan. You have the opportunity to make a strategic choice to take a quote-unquote loss to potentially get in a better spot to be able to flank your opponent and things like that. Marcel, I know that you haven't played chance engagement, but have you started to maybe theorize how you will approach it once you get an opportunity to practice it?
In a way, yes. Basically, I'm not going to play it any different than I would play a normal, a previous non-objective dogfight. The only difference is, the only thing that's changing is what people are bringing because of the nature of where we are with points and the meta. So having said that, is the expectation will be to just be better prepared for the joust, but just don't come in for don't go in and go for forward and say, I gotta get that objective first round. You don't need it. It's gonna end up being whoever kills the most ships. The objective is not the only time the objective is going to matter or declare who wins is in a situation where you guys are both where both players are just like neck and neck, and it's that 1 point that's going to make a difference. So no, I don't think the way you play this versus a game without objectives changes, other than the lists that are currently popular because of the other objectives just means you have to think about how you're going to approach, because it gives you the opportunity to set up differently. Usually you're set up spread out to contest multiple objectives. In this case, you could set up a jousting block and say, no, I'm going to keep all my ships close by, or at least within a certain proximity, and come along the edge as you're showing right here on the side. Like that range 2 is pretty easy to get even if you're setting up towards the edge. A 2 forward will get you into that spot. So it's not, I don't think anybody
I was double
would
checking.
say-
I thought it was 2 as well, but it is actually
Yeah.
3. You do need to do a 3 from the
even a
front
3
of your...
forward, like
3
if you
forward
have,
would guarantee it.
yeah, if you have one ship, or even like a 3 hard barrel roll left, or something like that. Like there's ways to get your ship in there without committing to an early attack. Like you don't have to go 5 forward with all your ships and saying, "Hey, I own this." Not necessary. Just play your game. Play your game the way you would have prior to objectives.
Now,
I like those ships, by the way. Those Hawks are pretty cool.
Also, any system phase repositioning ships are really good at ending just inside the circle and then repositioning back out to do a different maneuver next turn, just kind of skirting that edge.
That's right. Interceptors, silencers with sensitive controls. You got the Eta 2s as well. Now, in this one, of course, we haven't set up obstacles yet for this for chance engagement, but I think that's going to be one of the. Let me go back. In the other setups, a lot of times what I noticed myself doing was using a rock as cover to protect myself when trying to catch an objective that is easy for me to get to. Obstacle placement in this one can be quite interesting, right? Like you can end up making a pretty tight cluster around that objective. Because
You're putting them on the outside. I always just put them on the inside of range 2. I try to put all my objectives inside that bubble. So if you want to go and contest it, you have to fly through the obstacles.
It's a I bet I can fly better than you type of situation. Is
Yeah,
Definitely
exactly.
a challenge to the opponent and see if they accept.
Do you enter the ring of fire?
Yeah.
Or a gift to the droids.
No, they're nowhere to be found
not
right
a
now.
valid, not a great strategy when you're facing against droid players.
Gift to the tragedies, really.
Oh yeah. Also tragedies. Don't let them. But yeah, you can really pack in the obstacles and make them second guess putting every ship into that center, which is totally unnecessary. As we said earlier, you only need one ship to contest the center. You do not need more ships than your other opponent.
All right. So, any other thoughts on chance engagement? I mean, this one again is the most familiar to us. I'm curious, X-Wing players, as they come into the game and all they know is objective play, right? They never experienced the last few years of X-Wing where it's only been dogfight. I'm curious to know if chance engagement will be a more difficult objective than the other ones, just because it's less cut and dry.
I think I could agree with that. Maybe not cut and dry, but I don't want to quote it. But they might not have a sense of what they should be doing in the scenario, right? Your first impression could just be, well, get ships in the middle of the board. That seems easy enough. But if your opponent can set some traps, surround the center, put every single arc into that center objective, right, where you may have foolishly flown a single ship to take the objective, right? I could see, as far as a novice player, falling into these traps and maybe just being too concerned about the center objective.
Yeah, like I think in a tournament scenario where you have different levels of play and players with different experience, I think chance engagement is where you make your bacon. I think this is where you make the cut, because if I think, like you said, Will, if you're too concerned with the objective in this one, there's a good chance you set yourself up for failure. All right, there's chance engagement. Let's keep the ball rolling. We're going to go to Salvage Mission. Ryan, you are in the hot seat. Let's go ahead and talk about Salvage Mission. This is the third of 4 objectives for the new X-Wing scenarios. Let's go ahead and start by talking about setup for Salvage Mission.
So setup for salvage is utilizing 5 supply caches, and same thing, you find your center, one objective goes there. And just like Assault on the Satellite Array, the first player will place the first supply cache in the same distance, the at range 3 of the center objective, and within range 2 to 4 of their side of the board. Second player follows suit with their cache next, putting it on their side of the board with the same range restrictions. And then first player will place an objective on their opponent's side within their opponent's range 2 to 4 and outside of range 2 of other objectives and within range and at range 3 of the center objective. And then the last one will follow suit. Same thing. Opposing player places places on their opposite side at range 2 to 4 within range. Nope, it's at range. Is it within range 2 to 4, right, Will? Within for the
Within 4.
Yep, it's at 3 of the center, outside of range 2 of a friendly of another objective. Within, at, outside, or inside. One of those. All those words, very specific. So basically, Salvage Mission will set up the same way as Assault on the Satellite Array. We'll see this trend continue actually later on. So it's just the terminology and the type of mission that this is. So you're using supply caches. The big thing about these supply caches is you score objectives via holding these. You pick them up and take them with you. So what this scenario adds is called the action of tow. All actions are white actions, or scenario actions are always white actions, available to every single ship in the game. So when you go to do a tow action, you have to be, when a ship performs a tow action, choose a supply cache at range 0 to 1. Remove the chosen supply cache from the play area and place it on the ship's card. So do we have Luke hanging around somewhere in here? Let's spawn Luke again. Search. Grab Luke. So let's say we have. Did you want to do the same setup thing, or we just want to play some random ones around here?
Oh, let's go ahead and set it up.
Okay. So
Marcel, go ahead and be opposite of Ryan.
So Marcel's blue. Okay. So Marcel, let's say you're first player. Go ahead, place the first cache.
Cache. Ooh, we're being
Fancy.
fancy. All right. Let's put the first cache over here.
So if it has the
yeah.
line, which is now implemented TTS, it means you cannot
Yes.
put it there.
What are you talking about? Line?
See the white line?
There is lines now. You can turn them on and off for
I
the
don't see a line.
objectives.
No,
Oh,
you're
okay.
good. You're good.
It's a
You're good now.
place.
But you're good.
Okay, so I can. Well, this is giving me a line.
Yep.
This
So you
means you're
can't
too
put
close.
There we go. We'll go right there.
So for reference again, that's why I put that text out there at range 3, right? So as long as it's touching that range 3 band is what you're looking for. So that's a legal placement. And here we go. You had Ryan go ahead there again at range 3.
there. And Marcel places one on my side.
Okay, at the. Okay, then the next one is putting it on your side.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Ooh, look at this! All these fancy stuff. There you go.
So there's at.
I'm actually thinking about this. I don't like this very much.
Too far away.
Wait, no, it's not giving me a line.
Well,
Look, I
you
can
can
put it
see
over
it here.
All right, don't cheat me out of my 0.3 millimeters. Wait, there we go.
That's only doing the 2 to 4. So
Can you guys imagine playing a real game of X-Wing against Marcel?
Okay.
I will tell you, in person, this sets up a lot easier,
Yeah.
a lot faster.
As a spoiler alert, you set up the same way in 3 of the objectives.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
So
one
once
you
you
don't
get
set
one
up
way
at
to
all.
do it, you're going to know how to do the rest.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a little bit of difference with the one that you're contesting with your ships there versus the one that the ones that you action to take. I think you set up probably the same way. But,
We'll get to those.
Yep,
This is a tow action, so you do
Back to the
you
tow
can't grab
action.
them.
still action
So,
to take it.
yes.
so let's say you have Luke who decided to say, I am going to set up and deploy here at range 1 and decide to say I'm going to do like a 1 or 2 straight and end up here. I'm going to then do a tow action. So, like I said, tow actions are white. And a ship needs to be at range 0 to 1. So, Luke can take that objective. So, while you are towing a cache, so ship can only have 1 cache on its card. So, you can only pick up 1 at a time. And then you have to place 1 of the player markers next to the ship miniature. So you want to generally put a marker near your ship, but you also, kind of the bigger one, is to take the cache and put it on your pilot card to denote that pilot is carrying a cache. And then at the end of a ship's activation, the ship may choose to jettison its supply cache. If it does, remove the supply cache from the ship's card, and then the opposing player, this is the important part, anytime a cache is jettisoned, the opposing player of that ship will then place it. So let's say Luke said, you know what? A turn or 2 later, I'm gonna drop it. It's a very rare case you'd want to drop it, but he's gonna drop it. So you would spawn. So Marcel would place this, since that's my Luke. He gets to place it. It would be at range 1. So similar to the range 3, it'd be just touching. As long as it's at range 1, he can put it closer to any of his ships or farther out of the way of me to go get it to any of my other ships, and it would drop there. So
Now, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead. I was just getting to the next section, but if he's going on
Yeah.
that, go for it.
So and you score here by just having possession of that cache at the end of the end phase, right? Now,
At the end of the end phase, yes.
Now it's more than just like, all right, I got it. Like there are some specific things you can and cannot do when you actually have that cache on your ship, and they actually adjusted and added a couple of rules since the initial release of this to clarify some of the confusion that was happening. Go ahead, Ryan. I know you were going right into that.
Yep. So the few restrictions you have, while a ship is towing a supply cache, it cannot execute advanced maneuvers, perform slam actions, or be coordinated. So let's really key in on the word cannot, like I emphasized, because what that means, and the way this has been clarified in some of the rules that have either already been clarified when the rules first came out, or also clarified further in a couple of addendums or updates to the actual rules documents. If you input an advanced maneuver on your ship and you're towing a supply cache, that does not mean you execute the advanced maneuver and you jettison the cache. Because you cannot execute those maneuvers, you do a stressed maneuver, which is a white 2 straight, and you keep the cache. So whatever you had on your dial, if it's a 0 stop, if it's a sloop, if it's a Talon, if it's a 4K, or K-turn in general, if it's a side slip, it's a little more weird with the wording on that one. They have further clarification on that. I recommend you go check it out if you're an HMP player or a future Captain Hark Gauntlet player. there are special rules for side slipping because that is technically an advanced maneuver. Overall, you cannot do advanced maneuvers while you do that. Double check your side slip explanations in the pages necessary. You can look up in side slip sections, I believe, in the rules reference. A little too much to go into right now. If a ship towing supply cache reveals advanced maneuver performs stress maneuver, yep, it must perform it. If a ship must perform an advanced, oh, they did. Did they go further into this now? Did.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay, and then we get into the other part, the actual attacking way to get rid of a cache on an enemy ship. When a ship is towing a supply cache, suffers a crit damage or is destroyed, the cache is jettisoned. Jettison the same way as if you voluntarily jettison, the opponent will place it at range 1. So let's clarify suffering a crit damage. Whether you have a shield, whether you have face up damage card effects, if you are dealt a crit damage in the attack and you have not evaded it or negated it in some manner, and you take that crit damage, shield, hull, whatever it is, the cache is being jettisoned. It's a big thing. A lot of people are starting to look at more things that generate crits to help in this mode. Maybe not everything needs crits because it is only one of the 4 scenarios that we have. But if you are generated a crit, you are going to jettison your cache. And Dion has also clarified. Can we also get the fuel leak card, Dion? Or not the fuel leak, the hull breach card?
Mm-hmm.
Because that might be worded a little different.
Nope, it's worded the exact same. You suffer a critical damage instead.
So hull breach says, yep, before you would suffer 1 or more hit damage, suffer that much crit damage instead. So if you have hull breach, or basically if you have a supply cache, really hope you didn't get hull breach. It's not just the fact that it doesn't tell you to expose cards or flip them. It straight says hits are now crits.
You got a hole in your ship. You ain't holding anything.
No.
So just for clarification, 2 different cards. One of them is selfless. The selfless prevent dropping of cache. If you selfless,
you never suffered the crit. The selfless carrier did.
The second one is Grievous Crew in Separatist.
Cancels the crit result.
So no.
Correct.
No damage.
Okay.
You have to specifically suffer the crit damage. So let's say you have 2 rebel ships that both have selfless. Both of them have a cache. One of them gets attacked. The player, because the rebel player, because they both have selfless, both ships, could decide basically, do I want the original ship to take the crit and drop the cache, or is it because it's more advantageous for my other ship to suffer the crit and spread the damage, even though I'm netting always dropping one of the 2 caches anyway. I just rather have my other ship take it. So either way, whether you are the ship that has selfless, that pulls it, it's just if you suffer crit. This doesn't even have to be by attacking. Proton bombs tell you to suffer crits. That will also
as well.
Debris and any suffer a crit damage. Didn't say by attack, didn't say by anything specific. If you look for that critical symbol and you suffered it, you suffer in a dropped cache.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I would suggest, if you're still confused on the difference between damage and critical damage, watch our quick tips on what is critical damage. There's a difference there. All right. So
I do want to mention one more thing before we move on. Something Ryan mentioned about at the end of a ship's activation, a ship may choose to jettison its supply cache. A lot of people don't understand why you would ever do that.
So that you can execute an advanced maneuver next turn.
It would be at the next turn.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. But you'd be wasting a point doing that. I think the scenario that might come up more often is that you're carrying a cache and you barely survived the engagement, right? Maybe you got Soontir Fel chasing you down. Mm-hmm. You can move, drop your cache, and then have a full health ship come and pick it up on your own team. if you can try to coordinate that. So it is a way to. It's more for hopefully there will be somebody else to pick it up after you jettison it, rather than
That
just
sounds a lot
losing
like
the.
rugby.
Yeah, exactly right. Throw a lateral. Be like,
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
yeah, be like everyone thinks I'm gonna 5 forward and boost with the cash to try to get out of here. Well, I'm gonna drop the cash and give it to somebody heading in the opposite direction, right? Give them being able to change that up, right? Like I said, it happens very frequently. If you're at like 1 or 2 health, but there's a full health ship nearby that could just snatch the cargo, could be very advantageous to do so.
A couple of other small things added towards the end of this that has been added to the documentation on this is when a ship that is towing a supply cache is placed in reserves, supply cache is jettisoned from the ship's position before it was placed in reserves. So I believe that helps cover things like Moralo going off the board. It covers docking, I believe, because you are placed in reserves when you dock.
Yep.
So it's based on the original position of those ships before they were put in reserves. Same with fleeing the battlefield. If you just like, I flew off the board, oops, your supply cache is placed at the ship's position before executing the maneuver that put them off the board.
There you go. So you're telling me I can't deprive my opponent of the supply cache and just take it off the board?
No, you can't leave the battle with the supply cache. Sounds kind of weird thematically, but here we are. We gotta have that rules.
I did have a lot of fun docking cargo ships into my other ships. Not allowed anymore. Docking is part of reserve. Moralo, Aval flying off the board, not going to happen either.
These are some of the small things that, and you know, I would say props to AMG. You know, we're players. We're going to try to break it as soon as we see it. And they said that they would update things as they realized issues came up. And right here in this one specifically, Salvage Mission, there was these few sentences. It was a single page. It is now on to a second page. And unless they make the text really small, it's not going to fit on one page anymore. All right, so there we go. There's Salvage Mission. I will tell you, this was actually, I think, my favorite one. I like this one. I do. I really do. I like this one, and I like the assault on the satellite array. But anyway, let's go ahead and talk about strats in this one, boys. You got anything? You have any optimal cache placements that you're starting to really like?
So I think Marcel already had a mindset thinking of like in-game what he would do. So I think one of the first two objectives are generally pretty close to deployment. Like where I'm already going to be. It's not super telegraphing where I have to go. By telegraph where one of my ships deploys or kind of near it. But I mean, if you have ships that have 5 straights, they could start on an edge and then go in. But you're generally saying where one of your ships is going to be by the end of the first turn because they're going to be within range 1 of this because they're going to want to pick it up. Mm-hmm. Next, I think you see it here. The most common place to put the opponent's one is as close as possible to your side of the board. So we're going to see a lot of the side placements to get as close to your side as possible to have more threatening capability. Now, that's the trend right now. Whether or not that's going to be the prevailing way to do it in the future, we'll have to see.
Yeah, I mean, the logic seems sound, right? It's like I'm going to give myself the best chance to grab that one right away so that on turn 1, I get 2 points. Like that's what you're looking for, right? You want to make sure that you're scoring 2 points in that first turn.
Yep. And I think what Will is showing here is, especially if we take what he has, I don't want to move it yet, but if this was scooted over towards the middle of the board, at least in TTS right now, digital format, if you 5 straight up the middle with some amount of width, I mean, I think can we check range? It doesn't show the bubble. So if it showed the bubble, we could see around range 1 what this is. We could probably actually just take I would need a dial to turn on the range 1. Yeah, whatever. But basically, it's very easy for a 5 straight to contest this turn 1, which, depending on the platforms and ships that you have, most factions do have a 2 or 3 cost ship to move in here, grab this, but you're also maybe telegraphing a very isolated ship that could be very well threatened for an early kill. So, if you want to get the objective, you're going to want to ideally have a lower initiative, fast speeding ship, because this is an action that takes it off the board. Takes off the board, the first ship that gets there is going to be the one that gets it. So you either A, want to hope that you go first. So if you have matching initiative, road's a big deal on this one.
Oh, yeah.
But you're also going to have to say, all right, if I don't want to have to count on that 100%, do I have enough other ships and enough offensive output to really threaten and scare the opponent from doing that strategy? Do I have enough high power shots to say, all right, you can go there, ship's probably going to die or be really close to death, and pointing still towards me in most cases? There are some ships with system phase reposition, whether it's system phase boosts and 5 straights or 4 straights, that can get there on an angle, which is much more advantageous than it is for just a 5 straight up. This also becomes big in rock placement. Let me see, where is probably our new largest rock wide-wise? So this one here, this type of obstacle, I've seen a lot of people start doing obstacles where they're putting on their opponent's side up the middle and saying, I'm putting this around the range 1 buffer to say, you can't land anywhere here and still get this objective. You got to be out here or here.
Got to choose a lane.
Just a little more difficult. Now, according to a few people who've done this more in person, reminder, not every mat is the exact same dimension.
I actually was just about to go there.
Correct across the board. So just because your 5 straight hits the board on a specific measurement off to the side, right? Maybe you're not going up the middle. You're trying to find that, like, get as far over as I can. It's like on the 3, or it's on the whatever I measured, right? At home or on TTS. And I'm going to go do my 5 straight. I'm going to hit my middle. No matter how much you measured it at home or on TTS, if it doesn't happen in person at the event, you can't just go to a judge and be like, but I've done this so many times. It worked. Like, it didn't work there. That's not how this works. If it doesn't work at your event, it doesn't work. Not all measurements are going to be exactly there. So you need to have either contingency plans, or know that you're going to have enough that you're going to have enough of a correct angle placement to find the right side if someone puts this, what I call the linebacker rock or the blocker rock.
And to be fair, if you know what you do, just practice that at home once. I mean, if that's really your thing, practice that at home. Understand how far that 5 forward will get you. And what I mean by that is know how many range rulers or have like your set. Like, I know how much this is, because during a tournament, during any time, it's only really going to matter in tournaments, because hopefully you're not this this hung up over it in a casual match. But in a tournament, you have the option to, check the validity of where that is placed. So as you're doing your measurements from left, right, top, down, you can bring your thing like, yep, that looks right to me, and that's going to tell you like, yeah, I can reach that. Of course, you can't do it using something third party. Just grab your regular range 3, range 2 ruler and say, I know this is how far it gets me. So just do that ahead of time. Just on your kitchen table, say, okay, how far does 5 forward and range 1 get me? And there's nothing stopping you from doing that check when you're verifying that the centerpiece is where it needs to be. And if the mat is a different size and you don't get there, then you don't get there. You don't go for it. Again, there's nothing stopping you from doing that, and that's not. You have to verify that it's in the center. That's part of the process. Also wanted to point out up here, a 5 forward to a boost, or in some situations a boost like the A-wings or the sensitive control interceptors or silencers, a 5 forward and a boost will get you to the objective that you place on the other side at range 4 with plenty to spare. And so just keep that in mind as you think about afterburners as an alternative to a shield upgrade. Everybody's saying shield upgrade, shield upgrade, shield upgrade. But if you can do a 5 forward that is white and then afterburners and capture this, that it gives you plenty of space, better space than that one over there. So just keep that in mind if you're on this side saying, "Oh, I'm going to go 5 forward," and even in a situation where you lose road or something like that, you still get you still get to be right in somebody's face and say, "Well, I'm going to challenge you to take that action to take that," and now I'm going to have a number of ships that are boosting forward, focusing and taking range 2 shots at you, because again, that's kind of the range 2 bubble there. So if you're capturing this, you're probably at range 2. So just keep that in mind. The afterburners in this scenario and the next one comes in very, very handy. And again, just being able to get from point A to point B. And then on the flip side, you'd be surprised how quickly in round 1 you can have 3 ships shooting at you with 3 modded dice. If you're like, "Oh, I'm just gonna go over here turn 1 and grab this objective."
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, and there's so on top of the system phase boost and the afterburners, Jedi Aether sprites can opt in to use their fine-tuned controls to boost as well to get to that and then do their action. A lot of them have multiple force, which still helps them out on defense. Do we have any other obstacle-based things beyond just that sort of middle blocker rock that people have started observing or thinking about doing?
I like the blocker.
Go ahead.
I like the blocker rock, but also just being able to create a moment of cover. We talked about forcing your opponent into a lane, but just being able to when you place the one that you know that you're going to try to go for during setup. Let's say your opponent goes and places the blocker rock, and you decide, okay, this doesn't quite work for me in my setup. If I'm the blue player in this sense, the right side of the board, you can go ahead and take your biggest rock, put it on the opposite side at a spot where if you're kind of creating that same idea of a blocker obstacle, but on a different one of the objectives. That way it's advantageous for you, and if you're using your action to boost or barrel roll, get if some type of resource in order to get there afterburners, and you have to use your action to actually do it tow, you have at least an additional die to protect you on the onset.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I've been thinking more about where you place yours. So this is the one that you placed, and this is the one that you said, well, I know I'm going to take this one for free. And instead of trying to cover, because a lot of people try to cover this area here, I try to cover the exit. So basically saying like, okay, if you're going to get this rock, you're going to have to go outside and come at me instead of get here and then come this way. So I try to place the rock to kind of funnel them, saying if you're going after this objective, you're going to have to kind of take the long way around and not be in the center contesting the middle. Yeah. So just it's not just I like them from getting it, but keeping them from like what the next move will be, start shuffling towards the next move.
Yeah, I definitely like those outside objectives. So like if we do this one over here, if I'm red player, which I guess in this example I've been this whole time, and Marcel's blue player, this one is on his side. So what I can take the most advantage of is putting it on the inside towards me, because he will have to go and get it, and he'd have to stop just short here to fit 1 turn or 2 turns to cut underneath it. I may even move it back a little bit. Whereas I am on my way in, I could do like land up here, potentially do 2 turns that just fit me here, or 3 turns out here. So I think the obstacle to the inside, where they're going to go, like Marcel said, helps limit or at least give you information, you and putting down, you're learning from your opponent the moves they'll be able to do after picking that up if they get it.
And there's also some talk in the chat. Just a reminder, with the objective tokens, you can fly on top of them. They are not obstacles. So one thing I noticed in our first couple games that me and my opponents were like actively trying not to fly on top of them, but you can, and that positioning might be the right place to be. If somebody sets up one of these kind of blocker, or like, Ryan's talking about this inside rock. Don't set yourself up for a turn. Then you're gonna have to go straight. Now that obstacle ends up costing you potentially a turn where your ship is no longer in engagement. But if you're prioritizing in that specific spot to make sure that you actually capture the objective, just roll on over the thing. It doesn't hurt you in any way. But I know that as a player, it's very easy to look at these things, like, because they kind of remind me personally of bomb tokens. Like, you don't want to be by them. This is safe touch. Safe touch. It's okay. Any other tips for people playing Salvage Mission? See, I find it interesting that when we got to this one, this is the one where I feel like we had a lot of turn 0 type of mentalism, and I think it has to do with the fact that once you've scooped these up, like there is a priority to making sure that you get them, because once you got them, they start moving all over the place when people start dropping them. But you want to make sure that you can get. Obviously, you want all 3. You want 3 out of the 5 if you can. You're not going to get any more. Is there any way to get 4 of them? Maybe.
I mean, you can if your opponent lets you.
If your opponent lets you.
Yeah. No, it's actually real easy to get 4. Are you saying, can you get 4 of them in the first turn?
I mean, I guess
you go objective. It's real easy.
Yep. So you
go
if
you have the farthest up, like we've been talking about placing.
You control that because you control the one on your side. So there's going to be So at you control 4. So you get the center. You get the one that you pick on your side, and then they have to give you one on your side. So they have to give you one over here on your side, and all you have to do is the one that you picked on your side here, just put it at the 4 there. So you'll have there you go. One of the lists that you guys remember, I flew Nash Swarm, like Nash and 4 Alphas at there. So, for example, Nash, Gorin, and 4 Alphas is one. Also, the 7 A-Wings can do it as well. 7 A-Wings with vectored thrusters. You can have all these 4 at initiative 1, because in this particular one, lower initiative actually benefits you more, because lower initiative, you basically take it from them. Then they have to either kill you or crit you to get it. So in a situation like that, you can get 4 objectives, and then the one that shot up to get the furthest one away, you have Nash to protect it in case it dies, and then you have Gorin to throw it like an evade token, so it'll still be tokened up. So lists like that can still get 4 tokens by initiative 1, and now
So let's try to plan against that then. Let's try to plan against that. If I see my opponent has the possibility, multiple low initiative ships that will be able to move before me and scoop these up in Salvage Mission, do I basically, make sure I have a ship that can grab the one closest to my edge in the center? And do I stack the box on one side to make sure my opponent doesn't get 4, or at least doesn't get punished, right? Because your goal is going to end up being to try to delete that ship on the first turn. I know that in this specific list, you're talking about that you're going to have tokens and things like that, but you at least get an opportunity to pounce on it.
Yeah, you get an opportunity, but now that's a way to basically make sure that you deny the opponent second. And in turn 1, you should be able to know. Again, as long as you are putting Nash and Goran somewhere between these two, you will feed the evade token to the one that is most likely to get shot. And if they target lock it, then you can remove the target lock. In the A-Wing side, since all of the A-Wings can move that way and they have shields, there's ways to do it in the 7 A-Wing list. So it puts the onus on the opponent to have to one-shot a ship. Not one-shot, but one-turn a ship. And if you're doing that, that means you're probably putting all of your forces here, and then you're leaving your flank exposed. So,
Marcel, just
really
to clarify, how do you get an interceptor up on this top one? Because a boost or straight doesn't make it.
It's a boost. No, not an interceptor. I'm sorry. It's
A-Wing. Okay, right. That's what. Okay.
The A-Wing or the ETAs or stuff like that.
Because they stay up their.
You need a 5 straight and a boost.
Or actually, you could get it because Nash and Goran can both do afterburners. So if you go afterburner route, but
they do have the option to take afterburners. You're right.
Yeah.
So you need a way to do a 5, just real quick. So you need a way to do a 5 straight plus a boost that doesn't include your normal activation action.
Let me
in order to grab the one on the other side of the board.
Yeah. Because you can do a
bank boost
get you further?
I think only if you tried to line it up on the side and did the 4 straight, so it lands on a corner here. But it's kind of weird to do that.
Yeah,
I will say another one you
here
could do,
and then boost this way and then 4. Yeah.
Any silencer or whisper that has sensor scramblers and wants to decloak.
Anything with sensor scrambler, yeah. Sensor scramblers can get up there in a hurry.
Decloak 2 forward and then your maneuver.
Yeah, and the thing is too, when you're doing something like that, there's nothing stopping you from being at a bluff, and you're like, nope, I'm gonna come this way. So now you committed everything here to take this objective and stop me from taking it, and then so also consider that you can just not take it. just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah, it turns out when there's a wedge with a proton torpedo on the other end of that, I don't think you want to take that.
Come on, let's play. It's okay.
Went over here.
All right, yeah, This one, I like I told you, I think this one's really, really fun. The opening, the turn 0, I find very interesting because you have to prioritize what is it that you're trying to do in this opening, and then try to set it up there. And of course, if you are able to destroy a ship that has a cache during that turn, they don't score the points for it. So that's why I was mentioning if you can take it out in that first turn, then good on you, because they don't score the points. They may have used the action, but it doesn't score until the start of the end phase. And the other part, let's go ahead and talk about once somebody is critted or is destroyed, what actually happens to these objective tokens. So let's say, I know we have a bunch of ships on the board right now, but let's go ahead and say that this interceptor right here was the one to be destroyed by Luke Skywalker, and it had a cache on its card. You're going to go ahead and take your range 1 stick from that ship, and not the interceptor player, but the opposing player, the Luke Skywalker player, gets to go ahead and place this within that range 1 bubble. And this is where the extra strategery comes in, because obviously if you have other ships nearby, you want to try to put that in a spot where you can scoop it up the next turn, or if you don't have any ships that can scoop it up, you put it in a spot where ideally your opponent can't grab it, at least for an additional turn. Put it out of the way. I've heard some people putting them on like proximity mines or on obstacles, just in bad spots to make it like, hey, if you want to go and grab it, it's going to be a little bit dangerous. But you have some, you got some options in that one.
Like, so in this instance, I might say, let me just see if I can scooch you over a little bit. So if I have that ship there, I went, all right, you want to go get it somewhere? It's on the rock now.
Mm-hmm.
Range 1, scoot over to it.
Yep, exactly. All right, so that has been Salvage Mission. We got one more of these to cover. Last but not least, we have the Scramble the Transmissions. Scramble the Transmissions, which you'll see very similar type of setup to all the other ones. Will, go ahead and give us setup for Scramble the Transmissions.
Well, as you had described, it's very similar to the other ones we covered. We have first one starts in the center of the board. I'm going to place one at range 3, beyond range 2 of the center obstacle on my side of the board, within range 2 to 4 of my own board. My opponent then is going to do the same thing. They're going to place that obstacle, or sorry, place the objective. Turns out I've said obstacle about a million times when referring to X-Wing. Anyways, the objective that your opponent places then is going to be that same beyond range 2 at range 3 of the center within range 2 to 4 of their own board edge. Then it goes back to me. I'll place one on their side. Same placement, 2 to 4, beyond range 2 of the center one. And then they will place one back on my side to make 5 total satellites on the board.
Alrighty. So with this one, I know that Marcel, in our talks about this one to me is the one that snowballs the fastest because of the function of how these actually work. Because in order to contest it, it's just a different type of setup here. You get the Scramble Action, right? In order to try to get that opportunity to break the lock, or not the lock, to switch control of the transmission in this one. Now, my question is, this one's kind of like a mix, in my opinion, between Assault on the Satellite Array and the Salvage Mission, just a bit. I have not personally, I've only played this one time, and I have not found any specific strategies. I know that we've covered setup a few times. Obviously, after you set up all the objective tokens, just like all the other ones, you go ahead, you set up the obstacles, then your ships, and then you play. So we'll go ahead here. Will, let's you and me. You be the red player. I'll play the blue player. Oh. let's set up.
Okay.
Let's set these up.
These will be my objectives. You can go first. Take your first objective.
Okay. So first thing, I'm going to go on my side of the board within range 2 of my edge. All right. 2 to 4 from my edge, and within range 3 of the at range 3.
At range 3, beyond range
center.
2. I know, Dion. Within, beyond, at.
All these words. We should just make a T-shirt that says at just the word at. So so I know there's a few times we've put it at the center there, so I could just go ahead and put it at the center.
Sure.
All right.
I'll put mine as far away as possible in this little corner.
Okay, and then I go to your side of the board again at range 3. And I'm gonna go ahead and can't cross range 2 there. As close as I can get there, and on the inside, right there.
Did you let me place one over here? You sure did. Well, that's gonna be an interesting game. So I'll place mine right here on your side, beyond range 2.
Of each other.
Any other satellite. It is important that it has to be every satellite beyond range 2 and not just the center one.
Yeah, because this creates an interesting scenario here where you have this lane kind of in the center here to potentially grab 4. This is the fight zone, right?
Yeah,
Welcome to the Thunderdome.
Normally, I would say you end up at a box, right? We've all built in the previous setups. But like I said, this one you allowed me to put it to stack one side of the battlefield. I'm not sure if that's advantageous in this one, but it could be if you can make it worthwhile.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna keep moving on. What were you gonna say?
Keep it rolling. Keep it rolling.
Okay. What we need to do is actually define the scramble action. Okay. Yep. So let's get our ships here. I'm going to choose that Hawk I keep pulling out. Hawk. We'll ignore these for a second. Get these out of here. 1, 2, 3. Here, look, we even got objectives here. So this one has the Scramble Action, and that's how you're going to score points. This action allows you to mark a objective as in your control. If it is uncontested, all I need to do is move up with Mr. Kanan Jarrus here. I'm going to check range 1. It is. And as my action, then I will place a marker. I'll just use any old red token here to signify that it is under my control. Now, Diom, your TIE fighter is coming in. Okay, so you come from the center. And now you want to claim my objective. How you do that is you're going to roll an attack dice, and an eyeball, hit, or crit, replace the marker with your own. So then it just flips over to blue. But had you rolled the dreaded blank, you would just remove my control and it would go then neutral. Neither one of us would have control over it again.
So no matter what, the scramble will succeed in removing it from you.
Correct.
It's whether or not I get to keep it.
Exactly. It will always remove the opponent's control, no matter what. Maybe you had a second TIE fighter that came in and then could claim it as well. No limitation on how many of these you can, how many of these scramble actions your team could perform. There could be a scenario where, I come up and reclaim it, you reclaim it, and it just keeps going back and forth until nobody has any actions. So now, claiming it is how you're going to score the mission points. At the end of the round, each player who controls the satellite is going to gain a mission point. Also, the other way of scoring points in this scenario is destroying or removing your opponent's ships. You will also get their squad point value. And then, play will continue on as normal after that.
So in this one specifically, there is an advantage to having higher initiative ships because you can come in at initiative 6. You got all the piddly initiative 1s fighting over it, and you just come in as a 6 and be like, scramble.
Exactly. Where TOE may favor the I1s, Scramble certainly favors the I6s.
Yeah. So that's definitely. I find that really interesting, right? So assault on. Sorry, let me not get there yet. Scramble the transmissions. We've talked a lot about strategy for the other ones. Is there anything specific in this one, Ryan or Marcel, that you found yourself seeing or witnessing when playing or watching people play this one?
So a couple, the choosing, if you're lower initiative, whether or not to take an objective becomes it becomes a bigger decision, because you can take it and then they can move after you and take it back from you, at which point you are tokenless. Of course they are tokenless, but they have an objective that they will get points for at the end of the turn. So at early initiative, you just have to make that choice when you get there. It may not be such a bad idea to say, you know what, I am just going to focus up and put myself in a position where I'm going to deal out some damage. And then if you are coming at the same objective, now you have a choice. Are you going to take the objective and be unmodded for my defense, or are you just going to also just token up to fight? So that becomes a bigger decision. And then another, just not just for this one, but for all of these that we haven't talked about, is just the importance of just area control, whether it's through bombs, both through the front and back, through ion, and through tractor beam, and through tractor beaming your own ships, even just things that allow you to be where you want to be, either to block or anything else. And then another thing that lower initiative ships can do to combat this particular one, again, the Hawk moves here at initiative 3. Actually, this guy moves here at initiative 2. The Hawk takes it, and then this one comes over here, tries to take it away. Lower initiative ships, what you should be trying to do is not come here and take it. Is if you come here, again, if you're coming this way, is you probably want to get ready for offense or defense. Come here and focus up.
Yeah, focus or lock, baby. Let's go.
Yeah. But really what you should be trying to set yourself up for is being able to come in here, or even shoot past it and take it and force the bump, because the bump then only allows them to focus. It doesn't allow them to take the action claim.
Yeah.
So blocking becomes really good at preventing them from capturing or taking away. So if you have 2 ships, you can have one ship come and claim it, and then the other one come for the block, and that way,
that is actually a great point that I don't think we emphasized, that a ship can only perform a scenario action during its activation in the activation phase. No coordinating, no start of combat actions, nothing like that. Your perform action step. Or I guess technically if you got like a way to perform multiple actions, but it has to be during your activation.
Vader can focus and do this.
Yeah, I'm
As
a
an
Poe and
example.
Vader, I think, are the main examples, right? Of someone who could barrel roll, then claim it, right?
No, fine tunes also.
Sure, yeah. That's no different than afterburners, though.
Yeah, fine tunes afterburners. I mean, there's a lot of things that allow you to get close, get far, or take it. Or I think Vader and Poe are the only ones that allow you to take it and then do an action after you take it.
So that has been Scramble the Transmissions. One of the things that I want to do in the coming weeks, especially as we get up to Adepticon, is I know a lot of people right now are list building, lots of list building. I will say one of the funniest things I've seen in the channel was there was a conversation going like, I saw these scenarios and at first I was mad, and then now I've spent so many hours building lists because people like building lists. We got a lot to think about, and we talked about initiative. Let's talk about initiative advantage. In Scramble the Transmissions, we decided that higher initiative is better, right? Because you're the last one that can come in. You either disrupt somebody or be able to take it yourself. I'm forgetting the names. Sorry about that.
The
Salvage Mission.
cargo with the salvage with the tow action.
Yeah, salvage low initiative is money because you're like, it's mine. I got it before you. You're too slow. Obviously, chance engagement. It's anybody's game there. What about assault on the satellite array? is it a slight advantage to lower initiative for blocking?
Yes, you could block and utilize your ship base to make a barrier, which will prevent them from getting into range 1.
Marcel, you disagree?
No, I think in chance engagement, it's you're talking about chance engagement, right?
No, assault on the satellite array.
Oh, assault on the satellite array.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. You guys are looking at it as initiative, and I think that's just the wrong conversation to have.
Well,
to be frank with you,
Marcel, we're taking it piece by piece, brother.
I get what you're saying, but it's the wrong conversation to have.
What's the conversation to have? What's the conversation?
The conversation to have is number of ships.
That was where I was going to next.
It doesn't matter if you're high initiative or low initiative. It's the number of ships.
He's great at transitions.
I'm just saying, like, yeah, like initiative 6. Yeah, is it better to have initiative 6? Yeah, of course it's going to be better to have initiative 6 in most scenarios, even the one that you tow, because even in the one that you tow, okay, you took your action to claim this, so I'm going to come in with my initiative 6 PO and I'm going to bomb, torpedo you and kill you, and now you have no points and I have points and I can pick it up next turn. So initiative, it's always better if you have the choice to go higher initiative. It's always better to go higher initiative. There might be some advantages, but advantages don't offset the initiative. I mean, it's just like, okay, I have some blocking, like I just talked about this one. Like you can just set up a block and now they can't claim it. Like, yeah, that's a tactic that you can use to offset the advantage of the higher initiative ships. So higher initiative ships are always going to be better than lower initiative ships in any of these scenarios. Even the ones that feel like they don't. It's just, 2 lower initiative ships are better than 1 higher initiative ship right now. I mean, that's just, or 2 lower point ships are better than 1 higher point ship right now. That's just, I think that's the conversation that, if we're being honest with the, with the people listening and we're setting them up to be as successful as possible, the way that you build a list right now to any of these objectives, minus the chance engagement, any of the 5 objective ones, is you look for value. You look, where can I get anywhere between 5 to 7 ships with the maximum number of loadout points. Like when I build the list, I don't look at the pilot. I look at, okay, I'm 3-8, 3-8, 3-10, 3-12. Oh, there's a 3-12. That's my winner. 4-21. Oh, that 4-21. That's my winner. So I'm just trying to maximize the number of ships and the number of loadout points. And within that, that's basically creates a salad, or it creates an environment where you have enough things. Now, once you get that, there's also ways to tweak it. Again, you want to look at area denial. You want to have some ions things in there. You want to have some bombs if you can. You want to have things that have repositioning, or things that can move fast to capture those far away. You want to have a 5 forward. But again, if you're looking at the chassis that wants to do that, you're looking at an A-wing that can vectored, go forward, capture it, then rotate the arc and shoot forward and be out of dodge with that thing. Yeah, even when you're doing that, you're just looking, okay, I need a chassis that's an A-wing. What's a chassis that's 3 points and it gives me the most, or 4 points and gives me the most? 4 points is probably Sabine, because that'll get the free evades and that'll stay alive to capture something, run away and do some damage. If you're looking at a 3-pointer, you're saying, well, what's a 3-pointer that'll give me like the most number of points? Well, it's going to be what is it? The one that when you target lock, you can turn that target lock to like an extra focus. I think it is. I forgot what that one's called.
Not sure.
It's Derek and Charbet. There you go, Charbet.
Oh,
so Charbet, yeah. So Charbet is the one that at 3 points gives you the most number of loadout. It's not because she has the best ability. It's just because it gives you the highest loadout points.
Right, right. But
so let me
go back
myself.
Just real quick. Timeout. I got to put a timeout.
Okay.
The point that I was trying to raise was not how to build the list. I was simply talking about the playing of the scenario, because we're going to save how to build a list for next week. But we can.
I already gave you the secret.
All right. We'll go
That's
ahead.
the current thought process. The metas will evolve and change as strategies and tactics change. So we got to potentially also discuss things that could stand the test of time.
Right.
So we can't.
Will, what were you going to say?
It was about list building questions, opinions people would have, depending on the scenarios. So, like, but if you want to save that for next time, I can wait. I kind of already know the answers, but I wanted to hear.
I think we have to have this discussion for sure.
I know my opinions on it. I will say. I would be very interested in knowing everyone else's, though.
All right. The last thing I want to do today is because what we also need to do before Adepticon is I'd love to take in some people's lists and start talking about them, right? Because we've gotten to play a little bit, being able to get some opinions, and I think that will be a great vehicle for talking about what we think is advantageous or disadvantageous in the current list building segments. But I would love to hear, what is it that you are flying right now that you've enjoyed? What is, or that's been really good? I'll start. So this last Wednesday, I put 5 Aether Sprites on the board. I put 5 Jedi Knights, not Jedi Knights. Well, they are Jedi Knights and Masters. It was not the 7B versions, though the 2 dice versions. This is the Aether Sprite, Mace, Luminara, Barriss, Ahsoka, and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Those 5. Various loadouts. I couldn't tell you the loadouts off the top of my head, but being able to be fast seems really good. Fine-tune controls, being able to go zoom and having 3 agility seems pretty awesome, and having that nice balance of, because you got Barriss at initiative 3, not Barriss, excuse me, you had Ahsoka at initiative 3, gave me some blocking in the scenarios that I was able to play. While I couldn't get down to initiative 1, I still had some options, and of course you got Obi-Wan, trying to be the ace, not quite 6 because I couldn't fit Anakin, but I had some fun with that one. Marcel?
Finding the mute button. I was in a timeout. You don't put me on a timeout for.
I did. I did. I was trying to make a point, and you're like, we're going down this road.
Hey, dude, you know that when I get excited
he's all
about
hopped up on Mountain Dew, and he's gonna talk to you about it.
Ginger ale, buddy. Ginger ale. Get it right. Anyway, right now, what I've been playing the most this week, and I've been enjoying it, is a General Grievous, 3 bombardment drones, a Bactoid prototype, and Doofus. So it's basically a 6-ship CIS with, again, General Grievous, 4 Hyenas, and Doofus. And Doofus actually comes in with hull and shield upgrade, so Doofus is just as loaded. It's just as Doofus gets. Again,
You're saying Doofus. You're talking about the
DFS 311.
DFS 081.
Now he
gets 1 mod slot though, not 2.
No, he doesn't.
No, he gets 2. He's like 28.
Yasby says 1.
No, Yasby is DFS 081, cost 3. Gives you 16 upgrade.
081. You say Doofus, I always assume Butterbot, aka 311.
This is why nicknames are bad.
Because they're all DFS. They all are Doofuses.
That's my Doofus. My Doofus has 16 points.
This is the no one's ever played till now Doofus.
No one's ever played until they gave him 16 loadout points. That's all I did. I just look at 16. That's a shield, a hull, and a concussion missile. That is a chunky vulture.
That vulture is one of the few ships who was like, do you take a shield upgrade or independent calculations? Like, man, how much is that independent calculations worth to you?
No, because he can borrow. He can continue to borrow from the. He doesn't have to borrow from somebody that has network calculate. He just borrows it. It says if a friendly ship.
Really?
So he can borrow from.
Really?
Yeah, it says.
Let
it says
me
this.
ask you. Let me ask you. Have you been using? So you have bombers with
It
independent,
says
though, right?
while you defend or perform an attack, you may spend one calculate token from a friendly ship at range 0 to 1 to change a focus result to an evade or a hit.
Okay, so let me ask you: have you been using your hyenas independent calculations for this vulture?
Yeah, that's how he gets his.
Read independent calculations. Read it for me.
Correct.
Oh,
I
wait
know.
a
What
minute.
does it say? What
Wait a
does it
minute.
say?
Am I cheating? It doesn't matter.
always cheating. You're
Independent
always
calculation says you can't share or take from anyone. That doesn't matter.
These are
That's
mine.
fine.
These
Other
are
ships
mine.
cannot
It
spend
still
or-
doesn't change anything. It's still the best ship out there.
Okay,
And,
stop doing that. Stop it.
No promises. No promises.
Wait, all
No
your hyenas?
promises.
You have more hyenas, and those have independent calculations, not the single vulture.
Yeah.
It's got a shield upgrade.
I need that shield upgrade over there. So hold up.
Let me ask you
Yeah,
this:
yeah.
have you been using DFS 081's ability with network calculations?
I don't even know what his ability is.
So this is actually very interesting. His ability.
I know.
Been a while since
crits,
people read
I
it.
get it. I get it. It's
His
being
ability
facetious,
can help
yeah.
nullify those crits with the caches. While a friendly ship at 0 to 1 defends, it may spend a calculate token to change all crit results to hit results. All.
The
No,
cash
I
is
know it
mine.
comes in handy, but no, it hasn't came up yet. Like, it hasn't been useful in any of the games. And I actually don't fly them close enough to be to use it most of the time, because my version of Doofus flies in the background because he's got the concussion missiles, so he wants the bombers to be up front dropping bombs, and then he comes in the back and just takes a target lock. But anyway, cheating aside, been having fun with that.
Love it. Love it. Love it.
If you're not cheating, you're not trying.
You're not trying. Yeah, of
You're not
course.
You're not
Fine.
reading every card that you play.
This actually has 33 cards.
I mean, they all have the same words on them. All right.
33 cards.
By the
That
way,
sounds
my
like the amount you have in a damage deck.
True. My suggestion, and I plan on making a separate video about this. The Infinite Arenas custom card builder is 100% the way to go for a league night, or just printing out the list from Yasby. If you're not playing in the tournament, fam, don't carry around 700 cards. Don't do it. Don't do it. At least I'm not going to. I am freeing you from carrying around 33 cards because I don't want to spend the time to grab 33 cards unless you really need them. But want them. For League Night, I haven't taken a single card with me, and it just saves me time to actually be able to grab my ships and my dials and things like that. So, anyway, we're going to be taking a look at lists next week. Super excited about it. I got to decide what I'm going to play tomorrow.
You forgot Ryan.
What? Oh,
I feel like
sorry.
I've been forgotten twice. Both
Never.
the list building thing and the last thing.
Hit me.
I'll do
What
the
have you
list
enjoyed
first. I've been trying some FO stuff. I think they might have some of the best collection of ships to threaten and grab objectives early, while also being very disruptive with Jam or Commander Fire or
Pyre, so good.
yeah, telling someone after setup, you pick a ship on your opponent's side to
right.
double stress. In one game, I told a lat that was in setup on the far corner to say, "Well, I think you're double stressed because your blues are straight, and if you want to join the rest of your squad, you have to wait a few turns to start turning in." Okay, I'll take that.
Oof. That's
so
interesting.
There are a couple things you can do. You just obviously got to bring a crew carrier. So figure that. I mean, it's just the Zai right now, really. So pick a Zai.
Right.
You got to find value in it, though. I think there are certain lists that make sense to have a Zai, certain lists that don't. It doesn't make its value up back because I think the cheapest they can be is 4. But I will say on the front where it dealt with talking, kind of a closing thought, and maybe some people should keep in mind about going forward. That's outside of list building with these objectives and scenarios. You need to decide early in your game: are you going to be proactive or reactive? Are you going to be the person who's dictating the pace and how things go by being more aggressive with the objectives? Is that smart? Is your opponent better reactive because they have a wedge with afterburners and proton torpedoes when you decide to be aggressive with your objectives? Or is it better for you to be reactive, see what they do, and be in position to jump and be aggressive later? Those roles can switch throughout the game. I believe in card game terms, it's called either being the control or the beatdown as well. There's other terminology. It's slightly different from what I'm saying in terms of reactionary or proactive, but it's kind of similar, different lines of things you're drawn in that instance. So determine that early in your game, and start to determine which of your ships can do objective grabbing or are better off doing objective grabbing. In my time testing out First Order as an example, Malrus FO fighter, pretty solid I5 objective grabber for 3 points when it has glitter stim for first edition people, but that ability to take a stress and say, all my focus results are going to turn into successful results this entire turn. Pretty solid.
Keep himself protected.
But also, I have Revis at I1, who's a really good early objective grabber. So I got an array now.
I like it. And
Don't forget Null. Null is great.
Could take Null as well. Very high initiative objective grabber.
Yeah, Null with Swarm Tactics. Now you got a couple I7s.
That's
Wait,
only
you can take Null with Swarm Tactics again?
Null cannot take a talent. I didn't think they gave it back.
Yes, he does.
I think they did give it to him.
He's got so he can take Swarm Tactics and then you can pair him up with Whirlwind, and Cluster Missiles or something like that. And then Tim Spangler did that to me. And then basically he's a nice 7. He jams himself, gets rid of the jam at I7, and then takes a million focuses. So
Null can take talent, but doesn't have enough loadout points to take squad leader. Let's clarify that.
Yeah, he can bring somebody else up, but he can't coordinate.
He can bring someone up to I7 in engagement though, not activation. So the other ship is still moving at its activation value for initiative.
Got it. All right, I got a little worried that initiative 7 coordinate. I'm like, oh my god, again?
Yeah,
no.
Pretty good.
I forgot. Yeah, someone told me Null had talent. I said, does it have enough loadout for Swarm Tact or squad leader? No. Good. Thank you.
All righty. And Will, what about you? What you been flying?
I've been dipping my toes into different things, but I haven't really liked them as much as what I've been calling like budget scum or like discount scum. Which is basically all the cheapest platforms you can get. That's CAD. He's a point cheaper than every other Fang fighter. Ahav was a 2-point ship, 1 point less than every other TIE fighter. Nadru, also at 2 points value there. Manaru as well, a point cheaper than every other Jump Master. So it starts there. It starts with the budget buys. Then I've really been enjoying Gamut Key. There's a beautiful synergy of overtuned modulators, which I really, really have been liking in Scum. It's what keeps bringing me back to Scum. Overtuned modulators, we can get triple calculates in the system phase. So good for grabbing objectives when you need to spend that action doing something else. Just money. And then, of course, Gamut Key could keep your extra calculates. Or Manaru could pass them off to somebody else if necessary. But what rounds out the list, the real secret sauce, I've talked about her before, that's Sarasu. I cannot believe a cartel spacer with 6 loadout points is 4 squad points. But Sarasu with 18 is 5. For 1 more point, You can get Ion Cannon, Elusive, Hull, and Shield on Sarasu. You can take Afterburner instead of Shield. But that piece is just, oh man, it's what makes this, it's the secret sauce. Because you can have all the calculates in the world, but if you're not rolling those, paint on your greens, it's not very helpful. Plus the Ion Cannon, I love Ion right now, so I have to have Ion in every list. And it's just, oh man, it's just so good. I mean, I just send off Nadru, and which is, Nadru is the one that gets the extra primary dice.
Yep.
When he's not by his friends. And I'm just like, go off and get the objective. Like, if you could just pull any amount of the enemy's forces towards that objective that you're trying to get, awesome. You're doing your job. If he doesn't pull any forces towards the objective he's going for, great. He'll just score some points then, without having to do a lot. Same thing with Ahomp. I really like having the two pointers, whether you're playing like Rebels or Scum. Those 2 pointers are so good because they're very disposable. Just like, go out. If you can score 2 points of objectives, you've made up your points worth, right? So it's an easy trade, in my opinion. So yeah, I've really been liking that. Manaru Manaru has so much value right now. How are people not flying Manaru in every list? So good. Like it. You get Punishing 1. So I'll tell you my exact build for it. It's Punishing 1, the reroll bot R5P8, overtuned modulators, and because my list does include all uniques, I put Cutthroat on it as well. So the moment somebody dies, so you're like, well, I don't like that Nadru, I'm gonna kill him. As long as I can trigger Cutthroat off of it, you can get those overtuned modulators back, receive no penalty, and pop them immediately the next round. Oh man, it's just so good. Like we've been talking a lot about that center objective. Manaru triple calculates with the Sarasu reroll and 9 health. That could withstand a barrage in the center objective, at least for a round or two. So I don't know. It's so it's so inefficient. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just taking just like random ships with like barely any synergies, right?
Right.
And because they're just so cheap, it seems to work.
That sounds a lot like counting 3 plus 18 to see what gives you the most value, and then ship bonuses are bonus. I mean, ship abilities are bonus.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I'm sneaking in the Sarasu in there as like a real traditional ace. I guess not really. She's not an ace at all. She's just defensive.
Can't touch this.
Yeah. Oh man. 6 health. On basically 4 agility. Wow. Yeah. Good luck.
Pretty snazzy. Now, before we cut off for the day, those of you who stayed around, get a little preview of something. At Adepticon, we're going to be doing some giveaways, of course, on stream for those of you who are watching. But for those in person, I was able to get my hands on a Razor Crest. And I also have, I don't have it in hand yet, I also have two Gauntlet fighters as well. All right, that will be being given away for those in person who are playing. So super excited about that. What? Okay, so we'll have 1 Razor Crest. I was only able to get 1 Razor Crest and 2 gauntlets being given away at Adepticon for those of you who are playing in person. Basically, for every pod that you play in, you're going to get a ticket. There's going to be some other ways to get it there as well. But yeah, should be super fun. I do have an additional one of that. I'm keeping 1 for myself, by the way. So I will be playing. We'll be playing with it soon. But should be a good time, and I'm excited. We have some other giveaways we're going to be announcing for the people who are there playing, and of course those of you who are watching at home. So should be good stuff. I'm trying to think if there's anything else we need to tell the people before we call it for the night, friends. I think we're good.
Just remind everybody that you can still get onto Adepticon's wait list if you haven't bought if you haven't gotten a chance to do it. A lot of things have been changing in everyone's lives, so there's a lot of fluctuation there. Get your name on the list. Just Adepticon.org. Can they still sign up for the event if they're already registered, Dion?
So if they have a badge already, what you're asking?
Correct.
If they have a badge already for Adepticon but didn't buy a ticket, you would still join the wait list, I believe. I have to double check that one. I haven't checked on that scenario. Let me know if you're I mean, I don't know who is that in that scenario, but you may be able to access the ticket site for that. But we got space. We got about 20.
What's the black market price on the resale of those?
Of tickets?
On the rate, he's talking about the Razor Crest?
No. On the Adepticon and tournament.
The black market price?
Yeah.
I don't think you can trade them to people.
Yeah, there's no.
It has to be your name.
I don't know. You just have to put a red beard and you look like Ryan.
Okay, fair enough.
So I'm gonna be sitting there checking everybody in, and Marcel's gonna roll up and be like, "My name's Johnny Wonder." I'm gonna be no. Get out of my line. What are you doing?
Luckily, Dion, all of the side events, the duos tournament, the redemption tournament, what was the other one? The warm up as well. The droids you're looking for side event.
Yep.
All of those do not require pre-registration.
Nope. Just show up, throw $10 at my face, and go play. That's essentially what you got to do.
Preferably, if you're joining one of the more organized events like duos or the warm-up tournament or redemption tournament, show up a little bit earlier than the start of the tournament.
Yes, yes. There are times listed in our event document. Read it.
So I got a question. Are you guys going to be streaming just the main event, or is there going to be streams on Thursday and Friday?
I'll be streaming Thursday and Friday. I know I want to get at least a game or two of that new droid ball. What was it actually called?
The droids you're looking for.
The droids you're looking for.
Droid ball.
Droid ball. I played a lot of Hut Ball back in the day. But I definitely want to get some games of that. I think Duos is on Thursday, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So I definitely won't. I mean, we'll see how that goes. If it's too confusing, we might just grab a Hangar Bay instead. But yeah, no, we'll be doing all as many side events as we can, and up until Friday and Saturday, which will be the main event.
Blekosaur asks,
Saturday, Sunday.
Is there some place we can go to see all upcoming in-person X-Wing events? Right now in our Discord, we have a section that says events that are upcoming. You can check there. I'm updating them as they come. I mean, all in-person events, it's going to be impossible to grab them all because, of course, there's always local events. And by the way, if you're going to be in the Chicagoland area the weekend before Adepticon, we're putting on a 4-round. Basically, get to play each scenario once and get your warm-up on. But that's it for tonight, everybody. We're going to go ahead, call it. We're going to start building some lists and prepare for next week. I'm sure we're going to have a lot of people throw lists at us, and I'm excited for that. So thank you for listening, everybody. Be smart and be safe. Gold Squadron out.